Expendables 2. I can't believe they had Bruce Willis say male pattern badness.
This movie was so full of one-liners, I feel like the entire review should be nothing but one-liners. More exciting than a box of Viagra.
All of us just sitting silently until someone comes up with a one-liner.
That would be the perfect explanation of this movie. Any one-liner you can think of, they either got it or they topped it.
And I won't say anything about what it was, but Chuck Norris's line in that movie was just mind-blowingly funny.
That was what was great about this movie, is everyone did their signature move in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone.
Totally.
Van Damme does the high kick, and Schwarzenegger's got so many signatures, it's insane. But he does all of them. Dolph Lundgren mumbles and is incomprehensible.
Bruce Willis and Schwarzenegger, like,
It's fantastic. This movie is everything I hoped it was going to be.
Yeah, me too, and more.
This movie's going to get a higher rating than movies of better quality out of me, just because it was so unabashedly what it is. It did not make any attempt not to be what it is. It was just like, here's what we are, you love it, or f*** off.
I think that's exactly what you were looking for with through the wall.
Yes,
my definitely
God.
did that.
They upped the ante with this one.
Totally. So much.
Oh, it was glorious.
Van Damme was great, man.
Oh, yeah,
Van Damme was
awesome.
just great.
I knew he would be, man. I was like, yes, as soon as I heard about it, I was like, you know this is going to be incredible. And he absolutely met my expectations. It was like, wham, bam, thank you, Van Damme. You guys remember that? You're probably too young.
No.
That was a promo they used for one of his movies back in the 80s.
It's funny because a lot of the Van Damme movies I remember, he was always very quiet. And then in JCVD, he's, I don't know, a little more animated, a little more out of the box. And in this movie, he gets to play a full-on eccentric villain.
Yeah.
It's just great. I never thought I would just absolutely love Jean-Claude Van Damme in another movie.
Yeah, it was like they got them all together and just said, be as crazy and ridiculous as you want, and we'll film it.
Corrections department, Stallone did not direct this one. I was wrong about that. He co-wrote the screenplay, but let's face it, Stallone is the reason this movie got made. It's just... It was fantastic. Thank you, Sylvester. We appreciate it.
I was worried that Chuck Norris was only going to be in just a little tiny cameo, and then when he... But not only were they cameos, you got to see every one of them in full-on action. All right, anybody got any complaints about the film?
I'm usually the first to complain about one-liners, but this is one of those rare instances where the movie is made better by all the one-liners.
I had one complaint. The computer animation in a couple of different places was really weird. Like, I've seen better computer animation in YouTube videos.
Which places are you thinking?
Okay,
I'm having trouble.
The part when the tank blows up was unbelievably bad. And it was weird because everything else about the movie is so incredibly full-on awesome.
I wouldn't call it unbelievably bad. I would agree that it was below the level that this movie had already set, and that it continued to maintain afterwards.
They maintained like a really high quality of just awesome, and then the scene when the helicopter gets taken out by the motorcycle, and it looked like Sci-Fi Channel computer animation, but only for like 1/10 of a second.
I think I was too sucked in to really notice that.
I missed the helicopter one entirely. The tank one, I agree, but not to the level that you're saying.
Maybe I'm wrong, honestly. It was like everything about the movie was rad, and then there was like one department of guys that were involved in the CGI that were third string or something like that. But that was probably the only thing I had to complain about the movie, and it probably made up 4.5 seconds of the entire film.
The thing that bothered me about this movie, and it's such a nitpicky thing because it's so small and so minor, is that Dolph Lundgren kind of got shortchanged in the one-liner department.
Yeah, he really
did. His one-liners were kind of shitty. At the same time, as a reflection of his career, he's always had the one-liners by comparison to Stallone and Schwarzenegger and Willis and those guys. So in that sense, it was very appropriate.
The funny thing, though, is that Dolph Lundgren was probably one of the funniest parts about the whole movie, how off the rocker his character is.
I think the only problem I had with the movie, I mean, it's still, like you were saying, the only problem you had still fits in with the movie. The only problem I really had was just the predictability level. I mean, you know who's under the thing in the beginning. You know exactly what's going to happen when Stallone and Billy are talking outside the bar. But it fits with the 80s style. It totally fits.
It totally does. That movie was just awesome. They did it. They upped the ante. They were able to accelerate and just make it bigger and badder and more ridiculous.
Yeah, I was worried they weren't going to be able to top the first one, but they really did.
I can't even imagine if you actually went through and counted how many miscellaneous faceless goons were killed.
I know.
It had to have been in the thousands.
One of my favorite
it's like
parts.
Mass genocide.
One of my favorite parts is
One point I have to make here for the prospective viewer, because this is a review show. Going into this, you have to look at it as what it is. If at any point you start nitpicking the movie, you won't have any fun.
Yeah.
Because this movie completely disregards the laws of physics, rationality, and any level of logic. It's not there. Don't look for it. I actually ended up, by the end of the movie, I was looking for ways in which they were circumventing the laws of physics just so I could enjoy them more.
Yeah.
So if you can't enjoy that, this isn't for you.
You gotta let yourself zone out a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not cerebral at all. Just enjoy it.
No, it's the exact opposite of cerebral.
All right, ratings.
I'm gonna give this movie a 9.5. It's close to perfect. There's a few things.
I would say that this movie is perfect, but the computer animation really bummed me out.
Yeah, it's just those little tiny nitpicky things.
I actually had that thought during this movie. I was like, this is almost a 10 because it is so pure in what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
And it really got close. There were just a few things. Like, I did notice the thing with the tank being, like I said, I don't think it's to the degree that you said, but it was there and it was noticeable. And it was just a little bit there to just keep it from really nailing down a 10 for me.
Still, though, it's a solid 9.5 in my opinion. I mean,
Totally.
You know, I as much as I like to be the low rating guy, I mean, yeah, this was a awesome movie.
Yeah,
this was a 9.5.
I can't remember the last time I had like that much fun just watching a movie in the theater. I mean, even over Batman.
I can sit down and list to you the things I didn't like about Batman. I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's a list. This one, the stuff is so tiny and so minuscule and so unimportant that for all intents and purposes, I don't even have a list.
Because all the things I didn't like fit with the movie. It fit with the genre and the time period.
If there was
that
a
they're
higher
representing.
rating, if we could do 9.9, I would give it a 9.9 because what keeps it from being perfect is so
close.
small.
It's just
Yeah.
so close.
But I can't say it's perfect, so I have to go just one step down.
Yeah, I agree.
Because
totally.
it's not perfect, but
Yeah.
it is almost perfect.
If you go in for this type of movie, this is the one to go in for.
Yeah, I'm gonna call people and recommend this movie. You have to watch this movie.
I'm definitely telling friends.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna take Sheila to see this again. This movie was really good.
Okay, we want to answer some questions. Whenever we get comments, we want to start answering them. So if you leave a question in the comments, we'll try to answer it when we do our reviews. This week, KS Knights asked, where do you drive while filming the review? Do you guys do the reviews to and from the movie? And the answer to that, of course, is yes. We drive to the movie having not seen it. That's why when we give our ideas about it, we are sometimes very, very far off base, like that Sylvester Stallone directed The Expendables Part 2. And then on the way home from the theater, we do our reviews, and that way you get our first impressions, just whatever we feel right after watching the movie. So thank you for your question, and thanks for watching. Click the annotations bar down below to go to our channel. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Check out our blog, where we're going to be releasing mini reviews every Saturday of the movie we just watched, and that'll be, what is it, like 5 days early from when our reviews actually hit, so you can get a little taste of where the review is going to be going. And we'll see you next week when we review the movie that it says we're going to review in the final shot of this video that we do every week. And I don't know why I even tried to. Why do I do this? I do this every week. One time I knew the movie we were going to watch. One time.
Is it Hit and Run next week? It's Hit and Run,
Hit
right?
and Run or
Premium Rush.
Premium
Oh,
Rush.
Premium
yeah,
Rush.
one of those two.
We'll decide later.
Whichever one you see.
Just watch the end of the video and you'll see.
It's whatever video you see now.